Hi everyone, thanks so much for tuning in today. In today's episode, Kyle and I check in. We talk about life, pain management, nutrition, and various other topics. So without further ado, thanks for tuning in. This is the Climbing Majority Podcast. Yeah, Kyle, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing well, Max. Good to talk to you. It's been a while.
It has been a while. Ooh, jump. I've been, a little MIA.
It happens to all of us, that's for sure. But yeah, I've just been super busy. Just been working at the local dealership, creating content for them. Currently working on an intro to service video. Basically, every time someone buys a new car, they're going to see this video, and it checks off the box of, did the salesman introduce you to service? And so now they can just send the video and check that box. So I've taken a lot of work into it, doing voiceovers and a bunch of different shots and stuff. So should have that done by the end of the week, but it's been a cool project, that's for sure.
Yeah, it looks super cool. I definitely saw some of your videos, some really smooth frames and a little bit of spinning going on and stuff in there. So that was pretty awesome.
Yeah. Outside of that,
I'd be honored.
Well, you'd be what?
I'd be honored for you to film my car.
Hell yeah. I actually just created my own business cards for automotive media creation. I've had a couple people within the dealership ask exactly for that, like, hey, can you shoot my car? I'm selling it. It's a $50,000 car. And so I'm like, hell yeah, give me $200 and I'll shoot your car. And I'm building another pricing structure. I'm like, all right, $200, just photos, $300 or $400, photos and a video, and then $500, I'll do photos, video, and then I'll go around and do it all over again, photos and video, but I'll shoot it vertically oriented for social media. So if you want to like post your photos on Facebook Marketplace or, run like a video on Facebook Marketplace, you've got vertically oriented and optimized content for the social platforms.
Yeah, looking good. That sounds pretty sweet. I think another niche you should get into is grad photos. I was just talking to my physiotherapist the other day, and he's got like 3 kids, and he's like totally just bitching the whole time about how like the packaged grad photos cost so much money. So he's like, we want to get an independent photographer and just like take photos of all like the friend group and stuff. He's like, the packages are ridiculous, and this guy's just venting to me the whole time. It's really funny.
That's funny. Yeah, I haven't really gotten into like shooting people yet. That's definitely a weakness of mine. So maybe it'll be good. But yeah, outside of, the whole business life, I think it's pretty topical, I would say, to just relate back to the injuries that we both sustained and how kind of it's affected our day-to-day lives as we move forward, recording these episodes. And at least for me currently, I can walk relatively normally every day. There is definitely a bit of discomfort around the right outside in Achilles area of my right foot where I had my calcaneus injury. But after it's like warmed up, I usually like wake up in the morning and take an Epsom salt bath every morning so that I wake up and it's like a little more warmed up. I definitely notice that my foot hurts more throughout the day if I don't do that. But yeah, like biggest things I'm focusing on now are just building back my calf muscle strength. I still don't have enough strength to like do a calf press just on my right foot without any assistance. And so, I can walk and like walk heel to toe a little bit with like a slight bit of discomfort, but like freestanding, just doing a calf raise, it's like totally impossible. And so that's definitely what I've been working on lately. I don't know if you saw my recent Instagram story where I was on the stairs. Yeah, I saw that. Heard a couple good clicks. Yeah, my Achilles tendon is for sure just like cracking and popping, like as I'm working it through its range of motion. And it's funny that that noise is like coming from different areas in my tendon. At first, it was very isolated in the lower portion near my calcaneus, and now it's like traveling farther up towards my. What is the calf muscle called? The gastro something?
There's gastrocnemius and the soleus.
Okay, yeah. So like more,
those are 2 major guys.
More up towards those 2 muscles. It's like feeling deeper. And I have no idea what those noises are, but it feels good. And I definitely enjoy when that happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I know for me, like my ankle, like there's some good functionality in walking and stuff. The articular surface actually in like the talar area is like really sensitive for me. So on the right ankle, it's like really sore. Um, and then as well, I can feel like the outside of the ankle itself is really sore. So around there, I think they're called the peroneal. So on the upper side of the malleolus, which is like the end of the tibia, there's all these tendons and stuff there. And my ankle's just super tight and sore. And like your idea with the Epsom salt bath, I don't have a bathtub and showers aren't my friend because like you're kind of standing there and it's nice to be warm, but like you're on your ankles just standing. So definitely not the same effect. And Epsom salts are pretty awesome. So
Yeah.
I think you're winning with that combination.
Nice. Yeah, it definitely has been helping. I've been having my girlfriend do like traction with my foot, just like taking my foot and literally putting it through manually through range of motion with the inversion and eversion and the plantar flexion and dorsiflexion, and just like having her like manually crank it. And I definitely notice after a session like that the next day, my subtalar joint gets super pissed off. It just is like not psyched, especially on the right side below my malleolus on my right foot. It's just like super painful. If I like try to twist my foot at all the next day, it's really rough, but it usually goes away in about 48 hours. I just feel, I talked to my PT guy and he's like, yeah, it's pretty normal. Like as long as it goes away and you aren't experiencing further lack of mobility after a session like that, then the pain is just a part of the healing process.
Yeah, lots of fun.
Yeah,
having a stiff ankle.
Yeah, we joked about this before, and just how like the entire process of getting back to normal is just this giant hill of pain, and it's really true, man. I mean, every step of the way you feel like you're getting better, but the pain is just unrelenting. It's just gonna be like that forever. I feel. I don't really know when it's gonna go away.
For sure, yeah. I was in the steam room yesterday and talking to this gentleman, Jeff, who I see at the rec center all the time. And he was kind of saying, he's like, oh, so like, what's the pain like? And I was constant, ankles are one of those things where you're just on your ankles all the time. So
yeah,
you got 2 broken ankles, you're going to be sore and in a lot of pain for a good while.
Yeah, for sure. I recently started a CrossFit class.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, like a day ago. I used to be a CrossFit coach for a couple of years. I was big into the fitness scene. So I definitely like the intensity and the fact that you can come in and get a workout and get cardio in within an hour and just be out. I've just been like lacking self-motivation in the gym. I like show up and I'm just like, just like, I don't know what to do, just kind of falling into the same routine, not really getting a workout in. And, the first day I showed up CrossFit, it's like 75 air squats. And then he's like 25 dumbbell snatches at 70 pounds. And then you got to do 75 air squats again. I'm just like, that is a workout that I would never come up with and never do on my own. And it turned out to be a great workout. I'm sitting here 24 hours post workout. I'm super sore, just like totally gassed, but, feeling super invigorated from the effort and from the I don't know, just pushing through that lack of comfort.
For sure. I think in general, the stimulation and stuff from that kind of a workout and base fitness, as well as like bone density, tendon strength, there's lots of really awesome things that you'll get out of that. And as well, when you're coming through an injury, and especially one like this, just getting out is a win, if you're not feeling motivated or anything like that. So yeah, like obviously there's a lot of training that I wish I was doing or would love to be doing, but it's just not in the cards. And I can definitely feel that motivation factor sometimes for myself. It's like, just tired. It's just, I think it's just pain and soreness is kind of soul sucking, So yeah.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about kind of what you've been going through. It seems like it's been a little bit of kind of a dark place. And I know we talked about last time, it seemed in comparison that our injuries, although yours was before me and mine seemed, at least from a physical standpoint, more devastating. It almost seems like kind of now in the wreckage of everything, you're almost suffering a little bit more than me in this current standpoint. Kind of talk to us about a little bit about what you're going through right now.
Yeah. So I think, so a couple things happened, which I'll call like the perfect storm. I completely stopped taking Kratom and pain meds a couple weeks ago.
Were you taking both at the same time?
I wasn't taking like opioids or anything like that, but I would occasionally take like an anti-inflammatory if my foot was like blowing up or anything like that. And so, I was kind of like, okay, it's been X amount of time. I want to stop taking like any pain meds or anything like that. And that period coincided with, I was actually doing a lot of rehab. And then I went away on a 5-day trip, and there was like a lot of walking involved in that. And so after that period, when I came back, for whatever X factors, which are like adjusting to pain, getting off of pain meds, like all these other things, my ankles just kind of like blew up and started to get extremely sore and really painful, like more painful than they were. And it was really just sucking all of the energy out of me. And I just kind of got extremely depressed, lethargic, had like no energy for the last couple of weeks. And so being in that state and then constantly in pain, kind of just trying to deal with life and things around the house and dealing with school was just taking like all of the energy I had to kind of like deal with things essentially. So like I completely backed off. I haven't been exercising, training, barely even been able to get like physio done and stuff. Just it's almost like somebody just came around and like waved a magic wand at me and just, hit me. And it was just like completely soul sucking. So I've been dealing with that for the last couple of weeks, which has been obviously really unfortunate and pretty annoying to deal with. So yeah. And it was like really depressing too, because I was just feeling okay. And then I got a couple of days in the climbing gym and stuff. And then all of a sudden it was just like, bam, just, I don't have a great explanation for it. But like I said, a lot of those factors just kind of coinciding together. And I think after, I would say, what has it almost been like 4 months now of being pretty resilient and stuff, like for whatever reason, my body just went like, hey, like pump the brakes. We're totally just going to go into remission and just completely like, take a step back. So it's been pretty challenging and unfortunate to deal with that.
Yeah, that sounds super rough. Yeah, I mean, one thing I was like thinking about your situation, and someone had said that when you go through a surgery like you and I did, people like yourself who didn't require external fixation or, hardware in their ankles, or regardless of the injury, they see a prolonged and more difficult immediate recovery. But in the long run, they see a more full and well-rounded recovery. Whereas someone with hardware tends to see a faster recovery in the front end, but sees a more complicated and challenging recovery in the long run. So my interest, my brain immediately thinks about our situations and thinks about, the particular joint that comes to my mind is the subtalar joint on that right foot for, I think it's both of us, right? Your calcaneus is the right foot. Yeah. So my thoughts definitely come to the subtalar joint and to see what kind of longevity you're able to recover with that subtalar joint. And especially when it comes to the inversion and eversion motion. Because my situation, I do seem to be recovering quicker with some bit of pain, but I'm wondering if I lose more range of motion than you when it comes to inversion and eversion, and maybe even dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. I'm not really sure, but yeah, that's definitely like one thing that came to my mind is like maybe he's like going through those like initial painful recoveries just because he didn't have surgery on his foot. But like, 2 years down the line, he's going to be like jogging down the trail and I'm going to be like, tripping on a rock just to be like, damn it, So I'm not really sure how it's going to go down, but I hope that that's the case.
Yeah, that sounds great in theory and everything. For me, I think on the right foot, there's a lot of damage to the articulate surface. And that's obviously the worst type of damage that you can possibly get is when that articulate surface is affected and stuff. And so it's just very sore and tender and stiff. And also, I think 4 months, I would say status quo from what I know and what I've heard, like you're probably looking at like at least a year recovery before you're like getting to like proper, comfortable, reasonable functionality out of the joint itself and stuff. So like obviously we can do a lot, things are getting better, but that actual like things healing, getting way better, being able to take more, the joint being more resilient again, like those kind of things I think take a really long time to deal with. So who knows, right?
What ankle do you feel like is giving you the most problems right now?
Oh, it's definitely my right ankle for sure.
That's so interesting. Like your calcaneus injury, to me, when I look at the x-ray, it's like a pizza wedge, like you've got this like pizza wedge missing from your calcaneus. But to me, it doesn't look like you did any damage to your subtalar joint or your talar joint at all. So it's very interesting to hear that you're having like difficulties in those joints. Like, do you have kind of an insight into why or what kind of damage you might think has caused those? Okay, let me rephrase. That was a jumble of words. What kind of damage do you think occurred to these two joint areas? Like, because to me, from the x-rays, it doesn't seem like there was any.
Yeah. So the first time I looked at the x-rays, I saw the same thing, which is that wedge off the bottom of the calcaneus. And I didn't fully understand the break until I think the second or third consult I had with my surgeon, Rick. And so what he pointed out, which was, it's pretty hard to see, but essentially there's that flap, but then there's actually a Y fracture above the flap. And so essentially my calcaneus was like, if you viewed it like that, there was like a floating ball in the middle that was just holding on. So it had just before it was able to essentially collapse into that like subarticulate surface, right? So it was just holding on. So there's actually almost the entire center of the calcaneus was actually almost free floating. And then the other thing is the top of the talus, where the fibia, the tibia came down into it. That actually top articulate surface is really smashed up, I think, from all the x-rays and everything. So, and that's where I'm getting a lot of pain right now, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah, that's a bummer. It's like interesting, like you didn't break your talus or your tib fib, but the cartilage itself just got wrecked from the impact, and that's something that's pretty hard to tell from an x-ray.
Yeah, for sure, or at least hard for us to tell.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure my surgeon's like, this guy's fucked.
Damn. Yeah, I mean, I know my surgeon looked at me when he saw the x-ray in the first place. He's like, Jesus. I was like, that is a shattered calcaneus. He's like, I've never seen anything that bad. And I'm like, dude, thanks. Like, that's a great way to intro me. I'm sitting here with this bloody stump of a foot and you're telling me it's the worst you've ever seen. That's super encouraging. But yeah, man, that's really rough to hear, dude. I'm sorry you're going through all that,
Yeah, all good. I think, I'm going to be okay in the end and everything. It's obviously just hard when, you want things to be immediate. Like I want to get outside. I want to go do more things. I want to, all these things. I previously was this like really athletic, energetic person who'd wake up at like, 5 a.m. all the time and do stuff. And now I just feel I'm just tired and I'm lethargic and I can't like all these things, and it's really, it's easy to be like, oh, well, that's not actually the person I am. I just am dealing with something. It's really easy to like say that, but to actualize it and to really feel that in your life is a totally different thing, if that makes sense. So yeah, there's lots of times where I'm just like, oh man, like, why am I so tired? Or why am I this? And then my mind goes to negative things, being like, you're being lazy, or you need to be more motivated, or like all these things. And it's kind of like, well, that would be great if that was just the solution of just kind of like bucking up a little bit. But yeah.
Oh, yeah. I definitely, it's funny. This injury came at a very timely moment in my life. I just turned 30. I like just came back from this long trip, and it's definitely slowed me down. Before this injury, I was just like climbing. Nothing matters but climbing. And I feel like it almost was a little blinding. And now, this injury has really forced me to slow down tremendously. So, I can't even jog to the mailbox if I want to like go get the mail real quick in the cold weather. I have to like bundle up and like shuffle my way to the mailbox and then like come back, you know. It's just like simple things like that where you're just so forced to slow down. And it's really given me time to just like focus on my priorities. Like what does really matter to me? And I think that before this injury, I really overemphasized athleticism and being active as like a major priority in my life. And I still hold that as a large value, but I think that this opportunity that it has given me time to focus on my creative outlets. It's given me time to like sit back and like spend more time on the computer, find this job that I got at Nissan, and, you know, focus on projects like this podcast. It's given me time to like spread out a little bit and focus my energy on these other projects and areas in my life that I think that in the long run will benefit me more than the person I was before this injury, where like everything was focused on athleticism and climbing and being fit. And I think that unless you're like going to be a professional athlete, it's kind of like where are you really going, you know? Like climbing 5'11", 5'12" for your own sake, like really doesn't get you anywhere these days, especially in your 30s. And so I think that I kind of was almost beating a dead horse with my effort. And now, you know, once I'm recovered from this injury in the springtime, when I'm able to get back to climbing, I'm going to approach the sport in a whole completely new mindset. And to me, my climbing is going to be focused on, you know, the creation towards my channels, climbing really inspiring climbs that aren't necessarily super difficult, you know, things that have really cool exposure or cool features, things that are in a cool place that tell a cool story. And I think that it really emphasizes the passion that I had for climbing in the first place, which was adventure. And I think that that's like what this whole injury is kind of teaching me, is like focus on these other passion projects that you have. And when you're getting back to climbing, link those passion projects with climbing, and also, you know, focus more on the adventure than, you know, trying to send really hard and accept all this risk just for the sake of pursuing whatever you were trying to go after.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting and very well said, for sure. I think the alternative of where you were just focusing on athleticism, it made me think of Fred Becky eating like mayonnaise sandwich in a McDonald's with his free coffee. you'd be that with none of the infamy of being or fame of Fred Becky.
Yeah, it definitely just kind of like definitely changed a lot of focus for me. So I'm trying to just turn this whole thing into a positive thing. And there's definitely a lot of negative responses that we get every day just with the feedback with our feed and stuff. But yeah, just trying to like let this change my life in a good way, because it's changing my life whether I wanted to or not. And I definitely see it potentially, like it could for sure destroy some people if they like couldn't see the other side. You know, they say when one door closes, another one opens. I think that you could get stuck in a hallway and you could never see another door if you're constantly trying to open the same door that's always closed.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, I was actually doing a lot of research today and reading for a psychology course I'm taking. And one of the clinical psychologists who was in one of the talks I was watching, he was talking about synthesized happiness versus what he called natural or organic happiness. And through a series of different types of studies they did, essentially what they did or proved is that your body won't actually tell the difference between so-called synthesized happiness or organic happiness. So kind of the outlook you're just talking about, where we're talking about turning a negative into a positive, looking at a situation, as an opportunity to gain something, to grow, to develop, all these things. I would say a part of what I was like reading and listening to today is kind of in part a part of like synthesizing your own happiness and manifesting your own outcome, if that makes sense, right? Like, as opposed to, like you said, just being this beaten dead horse and tired and, ruined and depressed and upset about all this. You kind of just need to look for opportunities where they are and just focus on the things that you can focus on, and not get tunnel vision on what I used to be or what I could do or what I want to do, and just kind of be a little bit more present and do that. I'm trying to do that. I'm trying. I'm getting there. Some days, So
yeah, like how do you see that that particular the reading that you did? How do you see that playing into your own life at this point?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, there's so many different things, whether it's like affirmations or meditation, or, everybody's had that where you get a lot of endorphins and you feel good, you do good. There's so many things with that. And as long as you're maintaining a positive mindset and you're actively and consciously trying to convey those things in your life to yourself. And I think there's even an element of like lying. Like if you wake up and you feel just terrible and horrible, well, if you sit there and just go over all the A to Z lists of why you feel terrible and horrible, you're probably going to feel more terrible and more horrible. Whereas if you're just like, okay, I feel like total shit today, but you know what? I'm going to try my best to have a good day, and I'm thankful for X number of things, and just focus on what you can control and what positives there are in your life. Or even if you can't find any of those, make something up, like like back to that aspect of synthesizing happiness, just try and make something happen, which is, it's kind of odd, but I think it really, really makes sense. And there are a lot of behavioral things that we can change in our lives, and not just change by like trying harder, by like positively reinforcing things and yourself. So I think we've all seen like videos or someone, listening to a tape. And if you've ever seen those old like positive self-affirmations from like the 70s or whatever, they're like, I am intelligent. You just keep like repeating it, right? Yeah. But there is really something to that, I think. I think, maybe not necessarily those older tapes, but definitely being kind to yourself psychologically, and also really trying to have a positive outlooks on things, even when things are really dark. Mm-hmm. I think that's really important.
Yeah, you bring up a bunch of good points. I think that the affirmation part of it definitely works for a lot of people. And I think that it definitely works. You're reprogramming your subconscious and how it speaks to your conscious mind. And I think that that's super powerful. For me, like the way I go about, to me, it's like this, like a train almost. Like there's a train of negativity and a train of positivity, and trains are heavy. Like they take momentum to stop and start. And I think that, especially in our situation right now, the train of negativity has a lot of momentum, and, it's really easy to let that train kind of like dominate the perspective of your life. And to me lately, it's been about what kind of actions can I take to start to build the momentum back into the train of positivity. And to me, it's less about like rehearsing affirmations as it is what kind of actionable steps can I take, so that when I look back at my day, I look back with pride, I look back with honor and excitement. Like I want to like take steps, active steps, so that this like positivity train starts to like build more. Because I definitely feel like without like these positive actions that you take, like for me, it's, creating these simple videos, working at this Nissan job, working with my creativity, taking the step to take this CrossFit class, even though I know I'm super out of shape, like all these little things. And I think that waking up and making breakfast, like packing your lunch instead of going out to Wendy's or whatever, like these simple, small, actionable steps that you take each day that in the moment seem a little difficult and a little out of your comfort zone. But when you take the effort to take those actionable steps with that plan of positivity in the future, I think that they build over time, and it starts to become easier and easier to start to keep continuing to make these actionable steps. And yeah, I think that's where I'm like trying to go. And I like lost my train of thought here, but yeah, it's like, that's where I was trying to go here. It's just like focus on those actionable steps, try to stay positive and build that train so that it's easier and easier to keep moving in that direction.
Yeah, I think that makes tons of sense. And back to what I was saying, without the actionable steps that you were talking about, yeah, don't just sit at home on your couch and say nice things about yourself if your life is, if the house is on fire. Definitely need to throw some actionable steps in there on a daily basis.
Yeah. It's funny, let's bring this topic back to Kratom. Are you off it still?
I was off of it for about 2+ weeks or over, and now I just got some more. I'm going to start taking it again.
Nice. Yeah, I told my girlfriend, I was like, Max came off Kratom. She's like, why? I was like, dude, it's a drug. He's like, wants to come off it. He wants to experience life without it, because you can't live your life entirety on Kratom. And she's like, okay, yeah, I get it. I'm like, yeah, I totally support what he's doing. But at the same time, I'm taking Kratom every day. And I just for me, I definitely see it as something that is not in the long term good for me, but the immediate positive benefits that it gives me in this moment where I'm working at this new job. I have to be super creative. I have to be super focused. I have to be efficient, and I have to be able to walk around the dealership all the time. And I want to try to stay positive and try to stay fit. And like I'm saying, working on that positive train. And the Kratom helps me with that, big time. And I just for me, when I try to come off of it, if I'm not going to work or I don't have a big project to work on, I don't just take it for fun. I leave it in the cupboard, and I just on my days off, I don't take it, and I, just do whatever I need to do. But it definitely is, I would say I'm taking it probably 5 days out of the 7 days a week. Yeah.
No, it makes a big difference. It gives you tons of energy and definitely helps numb out a lot of pain. So I think for sure I bought more of it. I just definitely wanted to try it and see what it was like without it and stuff. And I would say, obviously, I had a poor experience. I don't think that was because of Kratom addiction or anything. I think more so that was just a perfect storm of stuff happening.
Yeah.
And also, going from something that does kill a lot of pain and give you energy to then having none of that was a really big contrast, obviously. So,
what color strain do you take?
I'm taking Green Valley.
Okay. I take Green Mangda.
Green Mangda. You think your strain's better than my strain?
Actually, so my Green Mangda, I keep it in these glass mason jars, and I put it in the car because I was going somewhere and I drove a little crazy and I broke the jar in the car. And so my entire stash of green Kratom was just destroyed with all these glass fragments. And so I bought a white strain and a green strain at the same time. And so all I had left was the white strain at the house. And so at first I was green strain all the way. I don't even need to take the white strain. But now I've been forced to start to dig into my white strain stash, and I still like the green better. They say white is supposed to be more energetic, but to me, the green strain, the pain killing with the green strain was just insanely amazing. And it's just it's incredible. It's taking, I don't know, it's taking 15 mils of Oxy. It's insane the amount of pain it takes away.
Yeah, it takes away a lot of pain, the energy. It's definitely taking the equivalent, like you said, of an Oxy and an anti-inflammatory, just the way you can feel and operate throughout the day. And I think it's also you obviously want to be really aware of things you're taking, and proceed with caution. And to anybody listening to this, go do your own research. Don't just go buy a whole bunch of Kratom and then take it. Definitely consult a doctor or do your own research or whatever. Disclaimer, you can't sue us.
Yeah, exactly.
But you also need to look at the lesser of two evils, right? So for example, if one is you're lethargic, tired, don't feel good, and you're in pain all day and you can't get on with your life, well, then the temporary consequences or the possible health consequences of Kratom are probably a really good solution to look at. And I think as well, another thing is, people will probably, who don't know, potentially look at Kratom or think potential negative things of it or something. But we buy NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, over the counter. That's the most popular drug, I think, in the world. And those are really bad for you. They're linked to, colitis, diverticulitis, stomach ulcers, cancers, all these things. And I think we definitely have a culture of people who just I got a headache, Advil, I got this, blah, 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 this, I'm hungover, take another Advil or take a Tylenol or whatever. And those things are really bad. They have long-term health consequences if you were taking those consistently throughout a year, and then you compound that year after year. So that's definitely something to keep in mind, is back to that lesser of two evils, right?
I think this also brings up a good point in nutrition. And, kratom is a plant. It is made from the earth. And it's not like cocaine where you take the plant and you mix it with gasoline and a bunch of other chemicals. Kratom is just a ground down plant thrown in a bag from Indonesia. And we talk about the lesser of two evils. I'll bring up fast food, McDonald's, Wendy's. It's not real food. They say it's 100% Angus beef, but I call bullshit, to be honest. And it's just like so processed. It's so packed with preservatives and chemicals. To me, taking a scoop of kratom daily is way less unhealthy than eating a Wendy's burger every day. So
for sure,
it's definitely just like the lesser of two evils. I think that, the things they say about kratom is it's kind of hard on the digestive system because it is just raw plant material. It's hard for your digestive system to digest. And so I try to just eat super healthy and drink tons of water. I think that an easy slip would be like taking kratom and drinking a bunch, or taking kratom and just like drinking coffee all day. There's so many people I know that I'm like, oh, do you drink water? And they're like, what? I don't drink water. I get water from my coffee, or I get water from my soda. And I'm just like, how are you alive? How are you living and talking to me right now if you don't drink water? It's just crazy to me. So yeah, it's just like I said, like you said, the lesser of two evils. Evaluate your life. If you do, if you're in a position right now where you are in pain and you're listening to this podcast and you're considering kratom, just before you start taking kratom, look at your life, look at your nutrition. Are you healthy? Are you drinking enough water? Are you eating nuts, vegetables, protein? Are you having a balanced diet? I think those are like the big check boxes to check off before you start looking for these alternative medicines to help you with your situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's such a great point, right? check the other boxes before you start jumping to other things, because for sure diet plays a large role in inflammation, and lots of other things could be recovery. So if somebody's injured listening to this, that's definitely an avenue you want to go down. When you're talking about eating a Wendy burger, I was imagining someone like drinking kratom with like a bottle of Advil and having a Wendy burger. It's just like, but yeah, no, that is a really great point. And I think back to the thing of the NSAIDs or fast food, or everybody has their vexes, and everybody has their own things they want to consume, but you definitely need to pick and choose some things, right? So you can't have it all. And if you want to have it all, there's definitely going to be some serious consequences to that. So, maybe if you like drinking 6 cups of coffee, or you want to have kratom one day, have the kratom as a substitute. Or you like eating fast food, don't have 3 Advil, a kratom, and, a huge fast food meal from McDonald's. Like, moderate some things that you're having in your life to be a little bit more reasonable with stuff. So
yeah, totally well said. Nice. I mean, I'll tell you where my mind's at right now. I feel like where we're currently at, I feel like this could be a podcast of its own, to be honest.
I kind of agree. I was wondering that. I was like, are we going to talk about like Meet the Creators or anything like that? And it was like, this has already been a pretty interesting, just about like a check-in and how we're doing and everything.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for tuning in to today's episode. We really like to hear from you, our wonderful community of non-professional climbers. It would be wonderful if you have any questions, comments. Feel free to engage with us on the email in the description, or contact us on Facebook or our social media channels. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great day.